Hello and welcome to the Work Hates podcast. I'm Bron Lewis. This is Breddy Blake. Everyone has a nightmare work story, whether it is a dreadful boss, a shitty workplace, or an insufferable colleague. And if you've had none of those things, chances are you're the problem.
Today we are joined by comedian, actor, podcaster, and most appearances on Spicks and Specs, Dave O'Neill.
Very good. Thank you very much.
Whoa,
Thank you
that
very
one
much.
actually, only because you told me that recently and I remembered it.
Oh, yeah. No, that's absolutely true.
That's the most professional intro he's ever done.
Yeah,
I'm actually
that's
getting
good.
better at it.
Yeah, you're good, mate. Yeah, but I was thinking, I listened to Billy Styles' episode, which everyone should listen to, even if you don't know who he is. He's a very funny comic, but his work
great.
history is, what would you say, patchy, to say the
Colourful?
least?
Yeah. I like the one where he waited for his boss to come out so he could bash him, the pie guy. And I was like, and in no way was he like hamming up that story whatsoever,
Wow.
you know?
But I haven't worked in a normal job for a long time. So I've been doing comedy 33 years. And when you start comedy, you do a few part-time jobs in storerooms or whatever. That's what I did and worked at TAFE and stuff. But it's been a while. Even then, though, in your show business career, you can have some dicey moments. Like,
You can just tell us all those ones.
well,
We don't care.
I'll go back to the early days. But the more in when I did radio with Hughesy and Kate, Hughesy, Kate, and Dave on Nova.
That was in the start of Nova as well, wasn't
we
it?
were the
Was
first
it?
team on air on Melbourne.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think we got it in Perth somehow because I remember that duo.
Yeah. You would have got our best of probably.
Yeah.
But the people that started in Perth, they're still on. Like they're still
Nathan
Yeah, Nathan.
Nathan, Nat, and Sean.
Yeah,
Sean,
they're
Nat and Sean.
They're
Nathan
still on.
and Sean. Yeah, and
They're
that's
still on.
one of them's from Big Brother. One of them's Rove's cousin who played for the Frio,
And one's a
Yeah.
physio.
and one's a physio.
But
the girl's a physio.
Yeah, she used to be a stand-up, didn't she?
I think so.
Oh,
Yeah, she did a bit of
maybe.
comedy as well.
They are very good, but they're very. I was on Perth radio last time I was there, and we were having a great time, all laughing a lot, but I forgot how sensitive people from Perth are about Perth, and it was a heat wave.
yeah.
And then Nathan said to me, because I said, "God, it's hot here," and Nathan said, "Well, don't you ever?" It does get hot here. Don't you guys, when like the weather comes up and all you see the map of Australia, don't you guys ever look over at Perth? And
Nah.
I said, no, we never think of you. And
Oh no!
Switchboard lights up. Switchboard lights up.
they did not love that.
Oh,
And
you'd
then-
have a lot of ticket sales that night, but a lot of people going,
cancellation. Cancellation. But anyway, we would be sent in to do interviews with celebrities, and Kate often said, I'm not going. So me and Hughesy, who's not the best team to go in to talk to celebrities, because Kate was good at talking to people, you know.
Yes.
And so, for instance, we went to interview Silence of the Lambs, Anthony Hopkins.
Great.
What?
Oh, yeah.
That's a crazy interview. He's
So-
going, hello, mate.
So you turn up this hotel room. There's the people from the other stations before you. You line up in the corridor. They go, all right, you've got 10 minutes with Anthony Hopkins, and you walk in with your equipment, and you've got to set up quickly. And I'm doing the equipment. Me and he's doing the interview. And I missed the briefing. I was running late. And so they said, don't mention his alcoholism and don't mention his ex-wife. And I managed to put both of them in the first question.
Oh no! What?
So
like
why did your
oh,
ex-wife leave because of alcoholism?
Something like that. It's like, and then
your
the
ex-wife
publicist
an
is like shaking his head, and then he cancelled all his interviews after that and left the country.
You ruined
Really?
it.
Yeah. We interviewed Heather Graham, Roller Girl from.
Yes.
And his question was, it wasn't going great.
Boogie Nights. From
Yeah,
Boogie
Boogie
Nights.
Nights.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
Boogie
the
Nights.
one, the
They're
topless.
so
Oh,
good.
my
Yeah, Roller Girl.
Lord. I used to
Roller
have the
Girl.
biggest crush
Oh,
on her.
Every man did.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And Hughesy's like, yeah, they said on the internet you don't talk to your parents. What's that about?
Oh my god!
She goes,
Fuck, watch out, Andrew Denton. Here comes Husey.
She goes, can we just talk about the movie?
Yeah.
Can we not go into
no.
my childhood trauma
It
in
was
10
so
minutes?
funny.
Window I have with
and
you?
then Hughesy stopped going because it was just me getting sent into hotel rooms, and I had to interview Jewel. And normally you turn up the singer Jewel,
Yeah.
who's beautiful too. And normally there's like a team of people with her, a publicist or someone. She was just in this hotel room by herself. It's obviously her hotel room. I go in, I sit on the couch with her, and I've got like just a microphone which has a chip in it. That, you know this, Blakey. There's a microphone with a chip in it, so there's no cords or anything.
Okay.
So it looks like you're just holding a toy.
Oh, that's
And so I'm sitting there and I'm going, oh, Jewel, how's it going? Then her boyfriend walks in from the other room, and he's like a rodeo guy. He's got like a hat on, like a cowboy hat.
Of course he does.
He's like, what's going on here? I said, I'm just interviewing Jewel. He goes, who's this man in our room, Jewel?
Because you're like, to the non-consenting eye, you've got no one else around you. There's just a dude holding a stick.
A toy microphone. He's like,
admittedly, you're wearing your boxers.
Yeah. Jewel's like, no, he's from a radio station. Oh, is he? Is he? It's like, oh, man, I only got bashed by Jewel's boyfriend.
I mean, it would have been a great story.
Would have been a great story.
Did you have? What were your questions for Jewel? What childhood trauma did she have?
Yeah, well, no, she lived in a car, Jewel, for a year. Yeah,
bring that up.
Yeah, we talked about that. Absolutely.
That's actually pretty exciting. Why did she live in a car for a year?
She was homeless. Jewel was homeless.
Pretty. You can relate to that.
Yeah, I was only a month I was home, or 2 months I was home.
This is last year, though.
Carl Sandlin's over here.
Yeah.
So you always claim to be homeless, Carl Sandlin's.
Is it what he
Yeah. That's one of his
Mate, you
things.
know I was going for a rough time. I nearly stayed at your mate's pub.
Oh, yeah. You were in a tent on the Mornington Peninsula.
Yeah, I was in a tent. Yeah,
Wow.
I say I was holidaying, but there was nowhere else to go, so technically
So
it wasn't
you've got a bit
holiday.
of a Jewel Carl Sandlin's backstory.
Yeah, which one do you think you can relate to more, Jewel or Kyle Sandilands?
I reckon Jewel.
I don't know.
So Kyle Sandlands was homeless as well.
Yeah.
As a kid, he's got kicked out from by his stepdad.
Good on you, Bron, you know. I just remember that as one of his things. Like Anthony Albanese grew up in Housing Commission, you know. What's his name? Kyle was homeless for a bit.
And look at him now. He's definitely not fucking homeless.
Not homeless at all. Going back to I worked from a very young age, though, because Dad was a fitter and turner. And so he had jobs in factories. He was a trades teacher. He was in the Air Force, and then he left and became a TAFE teacher. But he had good connections in the local industries. But they're not good industries, you know what I mean?
No, they're shit kicker ones that you have to do.
You're from the country,
No,
right?
I'm suburban Melbourne, Mitcham, near Ringwood.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. And so there are a lot of factories out there, though.
Okay.
And so we, from year 7, from Form 1, we had jobs in factories after school. It's just like the best one was the refrigeration factory that made industrial fridges.
Yeah.
But they had an apprentice, and they gave this poor guy hell, who would have only been 3 or 4 years older than me. Like, I remember I turned up one day and they'd spray painted his bike pink. That was a big one. And then I came in one day and they had these big kind of things that used to bend metal and stuff, like big vice kind of things, and he was just hanging in the corner. Like, you know, Gary. Oh, look at Gary. Oh, fucking what an idiot. Look at him. He's just hanging off this thing in the corner.
And as an apprentice.
You forget how bad apprentices copped it.
Oh, real bad.
Also, even work experience, like in high school, I went and worked at a vet, so it was fine. But I remember a kid went to, like, and he wasn't the most popular guy at our school already, but he went to a mechanic shop and, like, we all got dragged from our work experience because they hanged him up on like the engine hoist and stripped him down naked and just left him hanging in the middle of the workshop.
Child.
Yep.
Nude.
Yeah.
Oh.
How old is he?
Fucking what?
15.
15?
Nah, that's brutal.
It's brutal. And you're just going like, and then everyone had to, like the school, like, oh, we're cancelling everyone's work experience. You're like, what? And then like something else must have happened because it was very hush-hush about the whole thing.
Oh,
so
that's enough, I reckon.
Yeah,
I reckon
that's
that's
it,
enough.
But we were like, oh, God, of course,
That's
Brendan
awful.
ruined it for everyone, you fucking loser. We just used to bully him about it like a fucking idiot. Good on you.
Brendan. Well,
God, Perth is so
Perth's,
bad.
yeah, it's
so
frontier
rough.
town, especially then.
Yeah.
My dad's from Perth, and his stories of him growing up, that was a long time ago, frontier town. But anyway, so with the refrigeration factory, they made this large ice cream for an ice cream shop called American Made Ice Cream, because ice cream shops weren't that big, but they were all sort of coming. It was like late 70s, early 80s, maybe 1980, and so they had to bring in all the tubs of ice cream and test it out. And the boss is like, me and my brother work there. He's like, you do not touch the ice cream. No one's allowed to touch the ice cream.
Oh my God.
All right. Which is, we were
You can't say that
Of
to a
course
kid.
you
13, 14. And so that night I left the side door open and I said to my brother, let's go back. So we went back and we just fucking ate it. Because they had ice cream flavours we've never, like bubble gum and blueberry. We're like, oh, try this one. Oh, this is unbelievable. Anyway, we get there the next day after school and there's all cops and they're fingerprinting the door.
No, got the ice cream. Holy
And then
shit.
you guys rock up when you guys still got blueberry over here. like, I don't know what the fuck happened.
Put on a couple of kilos overnight.
Got a spoon still? I don't know.
And so, I remember that interview, and we're just like, no, we don't know. What? We were at home. What?
Breaking into someone broke into our high school cafeteria, and then sat down, ate all the ice creams, and they knew who it was because they could see his shoes in the camera. It was only one kid who had these shoes. They're like $300.
Like Ronald McDonald with his big
He
shoes.
was obviously hungry. Was it Brendan?
No, it wasn't Brendan. It was a kid called Ross, who's in jail now. Obviously,
is he?
big fan of break and enters.
But you don't break into a school canteen unless you're hungry.
Yeah, I think he just did
It actually
anything.
seems
Like
sad.
Forest was very boring, so you'd be so bored. Like we used to
Yeah.
break into our primary school just to set the
Yeah.
alarms off so the cops would come.
We broke into our kinder, which Mum was so ashamed.
Yeah.
Did you get caught?
Yeah. We got
You've
caught.
got to tell
Yeah,
us
we
this
got
one.
caught.
Well, why did you break into the kinder?
What was in there?
I don't know. We just broke in and played. We were like,
What?
How
You went in and
old were
played with
you?
the toys? Were you
Yeah, I
fucking
reckon
20?
no, we were primary school age. I think we just
Yeah.
harked back to the great days of the kinder. We didn't write "fuck you" and shit on the wall or anything. We didn't do any damage. We just broke in and then they found
Played
out
on
it
the
was
tracks.
Yeah, they found out it was us. Oh, it was terrible.
Did you smash any windows to get in?
No, I can't remember how we got in. I got to ask my brother. He'll remember. That's just come back to me, that story. I got to remember that story. We love that kinder too. It's still
Well,
there.
you must have.
The
You
kinder's
should go
still
back.
there. We should go back. Come back.
Let's break in again.
No, I should just break in now. I was a 58-year-old man.
I just wanted to play with the toys.
Yeah,
You
come
guys got
on.
any Lego?
Sit on the
Or
little toilets.
Yeah.
Those toilets.
I think the most trouble I ever almost got in was we lived in Spence in Canberra, and they had I think there was one house in the entire suburb that had a pool.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
and we would, and they weren't like, well, because I thought if you had a pool that it was your responsibility to share it with
Invite everyone.
Yeah, you should, yeah.
But they didn't have kids, and they didn't. I don't
Oh,
think
no
they
way.
like.
They wouldn't do that.
But you never heard, like, 'cause you could listen and you couldn't ever hear them in it, and you'd be like, they're wasting it.
They're wasting the pool.
And so we were so angry. So my little brother and I, because I grabbed all this like litter that was near their house, and we're throwing it into
What?
the pool.
Litter, as in like
rubbish.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Like cat litter
wow.
or some shit,
No,
like
not
shit.
cat litter, just rubbish. We just found rubbish around or big sticks, and we were hurling it over, and it got. We kind of got distracted by what we were doing, and we were just kind of like seeing who could get the most in. It became this fun game, and then we heard this man come out and go, "Hey!" And then we sprinted down our street so fast, and I was like, "Simon, don't go to our house!" But he was so scared. He would have been 5, and he ran straight up to our front door.
Oh, no.
And the man was standing at the end of the cul-de-sac watching us, and I was like, "Well, that's it. We're dead.
We're
We're
fucked."
dead." And Simon and I just sat at home on the couch waiting for this man to knock on the door, and he never
did.
Oh, that's probably the best thing because he psychologically got you. You're like,
Yeah, it's
fuck.
gonna happen one day.
Absolutely.
It's gonna
Because if
happen.
you get in trouble, it's over. I'm sorry. I move on.
I
But now,
reckon years I waited for him.
Oh, of course.
Because I had to walk past his house a lot. We were like, any minute he's going to ruin my life.
Oh.
I think, and Mum was a single mum, so she would have been like,
Oh, it should have been.
we did that one New Year's to a neighbour. We threw like all streamers in their pool. We thought that would just be funny. It's New Year's, whatever. But didn't realise it was all dye and it
Yeah,
turned their
ruined.
their pool to like fucking this
no.
deep purple because we threw so much shit in there. We're like, why is our pool blue? Like, I don't know. Maybe it's that piss chemical that they keep claiming they have.
who's weeing in the pool?
I used to love those stories of that chemical. I don't think it's true.
Man,
No.
there's so many rumours of it. Like, man, I
Yeah.
actually heard they have that.
Yeah,
in
it's
there.
a great
purple.
room.
And I'll be like, yep, check it out. There's none.
See you later, mate.
Yeah.
Well,
Fine.
when we were in a band in Sydney, we toured. We stayed near the Hopeton. Anyway, it's in inner city Sydney, but there was a pool in the park. It's still there, probably in, near the Hopeton in Annandale, that sort of area. And so we jumped the fence and had a swim, and then the cops turned up and they just drove down the park, and we all got out and ran in our bathers or undies, and the cop got on the microphone and goes, "You can run, but you can't hide.
Because you're in your undies. You're the only blokes we
You
can
can run,
see.
but you can't hide."
And was he right? Did he catch you?
Yeah, he caught us. Yeah, absolutely. I
But he
can't.
would have
Still
been
full
like,
from
this
the
is
ice cream that you
best
stole.
day.
Like, oh, I got a stitch.
See, we were pretty wholesome in terms of our break-ins, ice cream and pools. Yeah,
Yeah.
we weren't
I don't-
we weren't drinkers.
If someone's breaking in to use a pool, that's like a whatever. You know what I mean? That's a nice break in. If you're
Yeah.
not breaking anything in, you're like, ah, fuck it. Who cares?
yeah, you'd reckon. You'd reckon. But those jobs all segued into my worst job that I had, which was so after we finished school, we were waiting for our results for uni, and a group of us got a job at the tile factory. in Mitcham. It's still there, Monia Tiles on Mitcham Road in the outer east of Melbourne, and it's where they made roof tiles. Yeah. And so it was clay, and then they would bake it in an oven in a furnace and turn into a roof tile to be used on roofs. And so we get there, and Robert Popovic, my friend, real name, because he was Serbian, he talks to the foreman who's Serbian, and they're talking in Serbian, and he comes out of the office, he goes, mate, because he knows my family and all that, he's given us the good job. I'm like, oh, cool, what's the good job? And he goes, well, we've got to get down in the tunnel that runs from the furnace to the kiln and clean it out with jackhammers. I'm like, what's the bad job?
That's
the worst job.
Sounds like the worst and so dangerous.
Job. It's so dangerous.
Yeah, can you get in this tube with a jackhammer with no oxygen?
Yeah, and so we would go down there and then because we were like 17, 18, I was going out to bands and that, and I was in it, but I was partying at night. I would often fall asleep. In the
furnace?
Yeah. No, not in the tunnel. The furnaces weren't going. So all the normal workers go on holidays for 5 weeks or whatever. They bring in all these young people and I don't know unemployed people to clean up all the furnaces and the kilns. And when you have a furnace and a kiln, the tunnel that runs between them where the flame goes, it gets all this residue. Yeah, black, sticky. And that was our job to clean it out.
But also probably so many chemicals as well.
It can't be good for you.
No, you look at our pay packet and it would have heat allowance and dust allowance.
And that's back in like 1982.
82. And it was you used to get the pay packet on a Thursday, and it was a little envelope with cash in it.
Great.
And it would list your pay, your tax, and then the allowances. $20 a week for heat allowance, $20 a week for dust allowance.
So you know it's bad if in 1980 they're fucking putting dust in there, you know?
Yeah, it was bad.
Do you have a little mask on?
Nah, no mask, just the jackhammer down there.
No earmuffs, no mask.
No, nothing.
Nah.
And then I always remembered. So Robert, we were waiting.
He's still alive?
Yeah, he's a doctor. So he's a doctor in Perth, and he got his results. He was always smart, and he said, "I'm gonna be a doctor." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, cool." And I got into teachers college, and Jeffery, who was working with us from high school, failed. And I go, "So what are you going to do?" He goes, "Oh, I'm just going to stay here." He's probably still working there.
No, he is. Jeffrey's definitely he's in the kiln.
Have you ever thought of going back to that, because it's still there, that work site?
It's still there.
And seeing how they do your job that you used to do with the jackhammer? Because if you go, hey, I used to go in there and jackhammer, like, oh, no, we don't do that anymore.
Absolutely.
No.
The big guy in a hazmat suit down there.
Yeah.
Or they'd use a thing like plumbers use to clean out the hole.
Like a robot.
Yeah,
like a robot.
Yeah. Last time we sent someone down there, they died. I'm like, I used to do that.
It was brutal.
It's your friend Jeffrey's dead.
Jeffrey's possibly
He's dead. He's absolutely dead.
Robert used to play pranks on him, which was Robert would pick us up in his, can't remember what car he had. He had he had a Capella, the rotary Capella. Remember the Capellas with the rotary engine?
I remember the rotary engine, like the RX-7 or whatever.
Yeah, one of them. And anyway, he would pick Jeffrey up and pick me up. And then at the end of the week, he gave me $50, and he said, just before Jeffrey gets out, give me this 50, and so it's for petrol money. And so.
So he feels bad.
Yeah. And I go, Robert, here's $50. That's just for the week. And he goes, oh, yeah, cool. Thanks, man. And Jeffrey's like, what the fuck? What?
Jeffrey. He didn't win in any way, did he?
No.
Did he pay him any money?
No, I don't know what happened there with the petrol money, but yeah.
I remember once I was the first person to get a car license, because I was February 12, so I was the first person with a car. And then for months, mate's like, you just drive to the party, it's all good. When we get our licenses, we're going to pay you back.
Yeah.
And then speaking of the rotary engine, my mate Jason got the RX-7 and then took the back seats out so he could put a subwoofer and could only drive one person to a party. And I was like, you fucking rat cunt. I've been waiting 4 months to go to these parties. And like, nah, man, I got to have the subwoofer in the back. I was like, you fucking piece of shit.
The first guy to get his license was just the best. This guy called... God, I saw him at a function the other day. Sodsy, we used to call him, Robert, and he bought a panel van. Big mistake, because we just used to all lie in the back on top of each other, literally nice. 8 people in the back.
Yeah, that's good. We can all fit, Robert. Shut up, drive.
Come on, Robert.
Keep
just
going.
Drive.
Just get to the fucking drive-in cinema. We can't afford this shit.
That's where we go to drive-in. Absolutely.
The first car I got was Granddad had this blue. It was a Cortina, was the first car, but before that, Granddad had this blue Corolla. Must have been like a 1976, and it was immaculate. And I treated it like the worst. I used to fucking jump it. Because this is what we used to do to piss the cops off. So the football over our school was like up on a raised thing. So I used to just fucking floor it as fast as I could, try and get it in the air, and then we just do donuts on the school oval. And then we'd park the car behind the long jump pit, which had the sand, like the sand in it, obviously. The cops would come onto the oval, they'd try and chase us, and they'd go straight into the long jump pit and bog the car.
Brilliant!
We just drive off like, fuck it.
Did you ever get caught?
Nah. Took the number plates off.
It's a real insight into Brett's childhood. This,
Anyway, I hope Dad gets to see that one. Yeah.
I had a Datsun Stanza green. I loved it so much,
yeah.
but I got it
love the
before
daddies.
I got my license, and I would still just drive it to school all the time. And my stepdad, he worked near my high school, and then he would come and write a letter on a big piece of paper that said, "You do not have your license," and put it on my windscreen, so people would walk past it and see it. I was so embarrassed. I was like, "Stop!
oh my God.
doing that!"
I do have my fucking
I
license.
definitely didn't.
But you
I shouldn't.
didn't.
No, I didn't.
And you used to drive to school.
Yep.
And you think I'm the one with the problem.
Yes, I didn't-
Canberra or the
no.
country?
It's from Queanbeyan to Canberra,
Oh, yeah.
interstate.
Yeah,
Well, you drive
basically.
you'd cross borders without a license.
Yeah.
Queen-
How many
Queanbeyan.
Ks was that?
That's not far.
20.
Yeah.
Would you get up to 80 Ks an hour?
Oh yeah,
With no license.
Wow.
yeah.
Someone
Good old
popped-
days.
I didn't bog the police in a sand pit.
Yeah, exactly.
Fair. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
I didn't leave Jeremy for dead. Jeffrey for dead.
Jeffrey.
Sorry about that.
I got pulled over on the day I got my license because back in the day you didn't get a photo license because they had to develop it. It was so long ago. And I just had a receipt and the cop pulled me over my Tirana because I came screeching around the corner. And he's like, "How long have you had your license?" And I thought I'd be a smart. I said, 25 minutes. It's like, Jesus
they
Christ.
love
Now,
that.
if I know anything about the police, they love.
They
love a
love
joke.
it.
They
I
love.
love
it.
a joke. No, he booked me, I think, by memory. Yeah.
Damn.
That same blue car, this was me having a laugh with the police and them not enjoying it. The same car, that blue one Granddad gave me, because Granddad was a fucking chain smoker. Just constant. Even when he didn't have a cigarette, he was still doing that.
The car would stink.
So what he had Epsom salts in the ashtray because he stopped smoking, wanted to get rid of the smell of the smoke. But he left him in there, and the cops pulled me over, and they're like, "We're going to search your car." And they opened it up, and they're like, "What's that?" And I said, "Ice." And they're like, "What?" I was like, no, it's my granddad's salts. They're like, "What?" I was like, no, I was just fucking around.
my
I was just fucking.
God.
And like, they did not find that funny, and they went through all the panels, the side of it. It
Really?
was fucking insane. Yeah, just 2 turns away.
They don't
from
like
home.
jokes. You're
They
right.
do not
The
like
coppers-
jokes.
The coppers don't like jokes. Yeah.
Ian's
Absolutely
listening.
not.
My mate's a cop. You fucking rat. Anyway,
Yeah,
Cops love
trader.
cops.
Nah,
Trader.
love him, love
Trader.
you,
They're
love
different
you.
in Perth,
They're
though.
different in
They're
Perth,
different.
They're different
I
in
don't know.
Perth.
Yeah.
Social workers. And so was that? What did you
That's
say?
the worst job.
That's the worst
in
job.
the tile factory, absolutely.
Have you
Because
ever
physical stuff is not my thing.
And then you became a teacher. Did you like that?
No.
What?
No.
So you went to you got your uni, like you became a teacher, went to uni, studied it, and then you were a practicing teacher.
No, never taught.
Okay.
So I went on the rounds, finished
Yeah.
a degree. Well, it was actually, as I remind my wife, during a lockdown, she's like, "You got to teach the kids, you've got a degree in education." I said, "It's a diploma, actually." And I finished it in 1985.
Yeah.
And I was 20 when I finished my diploma.
Guess what? It's recess again, guys.
Yeah, exactly. I got to smoke at the front like my teachers used to do. And so what happened was, no, we all sat around in the lecture theatre filling out the form for the education department. And back in the 80s, depending on how good your marks were, was where you were sent, what sort of school. So my marks were shit out. So I was going to go to Broken Hill or Mildura. I'm just like, I don't want to go to the country. And so I didn't even fill out the form.
Yep.
I went, nah, I'm not doing that.
The olden days, they were they used to send people just.
Oh, Denise Scott went to, where'd she go? Somewhere like Witchyproof. But also in her day, they paid you to go and then you had to do 2 years of teaching. Whereas I was a bit younger than her. I was younger than her, so I didn't owe anyone any money. So I just
I would have loved to go into Mildura. It's fucking cool out there.
yeah, it's good Mildura, but I was young. I was living in the burbs. I was going to move to the inner city with my mates and my brother. We were in bands and stuff. We didn't want to go to Mildura. Imagine me in Mildura when I was 18 or 20 or whatever.
So you're
sleepy.
in bands. What type of bands, Dave?
Shithouse ones.
Yeah, right. Never kicked off.
No, we put out a record. We went on TV. We went on tour.
Oh, that's
Really?
great.
That's pretty good.
But yeah, there's footage of it and stuff.
What
but
were you called?
Captain Coco, we were called. I normally say Noiseworks as a joke, but I won't say that.
Good, because I don't know who knows
No,
what
well, Bron would know them, the big 80s band. But no, the thing, it's not dissimilar to being in comedy, except you have to work with 4 or 5 other people. You got to carry equipment around.
So
You've
it's
got
worse.
to, you got to support famous bands that treat you like shit. And then you see bands that are like Like I remember a guy at our high school was older than us, and he formed Boom Crash Opera. Do you know Boom Crash
Yes,
Opera?
I know that name. Yeah.
So they were massive in the late 80s, early 90s, and we supported them once. And because they were all in other bands before that, they were old. They'd been in their kind of cool bands. And they decided, let's form a band that's going to be a big hit.
Yeah.
And they recruited Dale Ryder, the singer, from a cover band. He was good looking, he could sing, and they wrote all the songs. These guys, and we supported them once. And hilarious when they asked us to support them. I'm like, I don't know. Should we support these guys?
We might have something on.
And then we see them and you're like, fucking hell, that was so good. They turn up fully formed. You know when a comic turns up fully formed? They're like a band that had their shit together, and we were just like, teenagers basically. And we're just like, oh. So it was just hard. It was, but that's how I got into comedy, kind of.
And then, do you reckon, because I know what it's like to be, we know what it's like to support a comedian, like to be the support act, the opening act. Is that similar with bands?
Yeah. So they only give you, it's hilarious. You're a lighting guy, Brett. They would tape off 80% of the lighting grid with masking tape, and you weren't allowed to use any of those lights. So you had 4 or 3 lights to use when you're on stage.
Right. And so when the band comes out, it's spectacular.
Yeah. That's fair enough. But yeah, it was hard. It was hard.
Do people just talk often through the support act? I talk through the support act often. In bands.
Or turn up when they finish.
Yeah.
But when I started comedy, I started supporting David Strasman, the ventriloquist, and we
That's
went on
a
tour.
fucking weird one. With Chucky, with
Chucky
the bear
and Teddy Bear.
Chucky, yeah.
And he
I
used to
be
make-
obsessed with that guy when I was a kid.
Oh, he used to make Chucky come alive backstage when he wasn't
No.
there. Yeah, because he was like a robot. He could come alive.
That's
so I was sitting there,
terrifying.
and then once Chucky just moved his head and went, "Hey, Dave," I'm like, "What the fuck?"
Wow, David had too much time on his hands.
But you'd walk on stage and you hear people say, "Who the fuck is this?"
Yeah.
Like, where's David? Where's the Chucky? Where's Teddy Bear? But anyway,
Was that the 90s as well? Or
yeah, that was
early
90s.
2000s?
That was 90s.
Because he was fucking massive. I remember having it on VHS and shit. It was huge.
Well, he's got
Huge.
so there's a woman ventriloquist from the UK,
Nina
What's her name?
Conteri.
Yeah, so I saw her for the first time at this festival. She was so funny. But when I was living up at Queensland, there was a guy who just moved there, Darren Carr.
Oh, he's great.
Yeah, he
Darren
was
Carr.
so funny.
Yeah, he's
he was
great.
but like he would do the same set at every single gig we did together, but it would destroy every single time. And he looked kind of sick of doing some bits, but the room couldn't cope. Like they were falling over.
Puppets,
It's when they put the mask, the
a
mouth
person.
on someone.
Yeah, they do that bit. Darren Carr does that bit.
Yeah, and so that's what Nina was doing as well. So I was like, so is that just like a normal thing? They all do that?
Strasman didn't do that. That came in. Someone must have invented it at some point in
I
America.
thought that was
somewhere.
Nina, but it could have been someone else. Yeah.
But,
I saw one of her clips that went viral, and I was like, "Fuck, that is actually pretty funny."
It's so funny.
It's very good.
So clever.
Yeah.
But there's not very many ventriloquists
Ventriloquist,
anymore, right?
no.
But how did you go supporting him? Because I'm assuming it would have been massive fucking theatres. And then
Yeah.
what? So you're just warming up for 10, 15, then you bring him out, or is there a break or anything?
Yeah. Normally, no, straight on. So he just wanted someone to warm up the crowd, basically, and get people to settle down and that kind of stuff. Like he would have a support. I was the MC in Melbourne. He would have a support act as well sometimes. So it was me for 10 or 15, then a support act for 10 or 15. Then we'd have a break, actually, and then he'd come on. But when we did theatres in Bendigo and stuff like that, it would just be me for 20, 15. And you weren't allowed to swear or anything like that. And but no, they're generally good gigs. I remember one time in Ballarat, they opened up the doors and this guy came running down to the front and sat with his own puppet.
Absolutely.
In a seat, and the usher comes up, and I'm like doing the sound check or something. I was around, and the usher comes up and goes, "Mate, you're going to have to move that puppet." And he goes, No, I bought a seat for him. It's like...
This is my big break. He's going to ask me about my...
Yes.
Did Strassman address it?
No.
That's the best part. He never has it.
I go, there's some freak out there with his puppet. He goes, yeah, it happens occasionally. These freaks, yeah, you know.
But he would have, because the purpose would have been he's going to ask me to use the puppet, and then I'm going to tour with him.
We've got something to
forever.
relate to. I can open for him.
Yeah,
that is really sad.
No, but as a comic, it was good experience, really good experience. Because you
Did he pay well?
Yeah, it was all like union rates or whatever. But it was like 8 gigs a week sometimes, but it was great. Yeah, it was really good.
And was that? They don't sound like they could have possibly been any of the worst gigs of your life.
No, not at all.
What is the worst
Not at
gig?
all.
You have been gigging for 33 years, and you do gigs out
no one else
no.
wants to
That's
do.
not true.
That's
I
not
would
true.
do them.
They're so
do 'em.
good. They're so
Yeah.
good. Like the country gigs are excellent because it's country people.
Not
and
always. But yeah,
Okay.
most 95% of the time, I've done well. You know, you think you've done them all, but I did one in January in Albury, which went a bit pear-shaped, but it was for like a footy club, and they flew us up in a private jet.
Oh,
Yeah,
they had
So
heaps of
what?
money.
Yeah, well, because one of the sponsors was loaded and had a private jet. This happened to me once before. I got flown in a private jet to Griffith with Hughesy, and anyway, and so
Who's got private jet money?
Go
well,
into
quarries. I always ask the question. The bloke in Griffith owned quarries.
Okay.
And mining, so he had a private jet,
Yep.
and the guys in Albury were big building company that owned a private jet, right? It's millions of dollars. Anyway, whatever. So they fly me and Campbell Brown, the footballer, up to Albury, and a few other guys associated with the club, and then the private jet's got to go back and pick up Paddy Dangerfield, who's a Geelong player from Geelong, because he's training, and fly him up to Albury. And so,
What are they doing though? What are these two people doing? It's
They're
a comedy
footballers.
night.
They're
Yeah, but
footballers.
what are they? What are
They're
they
just
going to
there
offer?
talking,
no,
Q&As.
they give a talk. They give a talk on their football career.
Yeah.
They're the big draw
Right.
cards. No one's there to see me.
No.
And it's a lunchtime gig in a beer garden. So
Okay.
there's like
So it's
200
outside.
It's outside. It's boiling hot. It's like, if you imagine like what a short dumbbell looks like, the bit where you grab your hand on,
Mm-hmm.
that's where the stage is. And the two other bits have got like 200 people on either side of the stage, but they can't. So the physical setup is not great. So it's like a H, kind of like a H.
Yeah.
And you're in the middle bit on a little stage, and in front of you there's like 3 tables of people, and the majority of people are over there and over there to your left, to your right, in the
Just
flanks.
like the peasants, and the tables are like VIPs.
VIPs.
No, they're not necessarily, but they weren't giving me much. And the guy that picked me up at the airport, what was his name? Shooter, who's the organizer. I get in the car and he's like, "Are you gonna be funny, cunt? You better be funny."
Oh,
then-
as soon as that happens, you're like, oh,
No,
God.
not anymore.
I'm walking from
And
Albury.
then he, that was his thing. And then he got out his list of comics that he's previously had
Yeah.
and went through them and ranked them. He was shit. He was fucked. He
Yeah.
died like a dog. Died like a pig, that one. Put him back on the train. He's not getting the plane home. Fuck him. He was shit.
He said,
And then-
I'll put him
my
back on the
God.
train.
Yeah, he said, I'll put him back on the train. And then he
Get in
got
the plane.
and then he got to someone, he goes, all these comics I know, and all of them are good. And then he just gets to someone, he goes, yeah, no, he was all right, actually, he did well. But Limo had done the year before, and this gave me a bit of hope. And Limo had done well, and he put me into the gig. He said, you do this gig. And I get there, and then he goes, all right, I'm fucking bringing you straight on. I'm like, there's people walking in, and then as I'm about to go on, they bring out the entree, like fruit and shit like that. And Campbell Brown, he's a Collingwood footballer. No, Hawthorn, sorry, he's Hawthorn. And he's done a lot of these kind of, he does a lot of these functions, and he just looks at me and goes, mate, this is fucked.
Oh no!
So I go on, and it's, oh man, I'm sweating. I'm sweating. The sun's boiling hot on me. I'm like having sunstroke. I'm trying to talk to the crowd. That's not going that well. There's people walking past me, sitting down.
Try to eat their fruit.
Oh man, it was like, you do a bit of footy stuff and that goes well. You go, all right, okay, I'm on a roll here. Then you go back to other stuff. Nah, I'm trying to talk to people in the crowd.
Oh, no.
They give me nothing.
And how much footy gear have you got? Like
About
you got
5
an hour?
minutes.
Yeah.
I'm out. I've got to do it again.
Oh,
I'm
man.
saying jokes
So
twice.
anyway,
I'll do it
I
next then.
finish up and I walk off stage and Shooter's pretending to be on the phone. And he's like this, Limo, O'Neill's fucked. How quick can you get up here?
Oh, no.
And then he's like,
might-
oh, good one. Anyway, so I go and sit in the bar, which is inside and air conditioned. I reckon I sit there for an hour and a half by myself, and people were coming in. Oh, mate, were you on? Were you just on, mate? You know, that kind of.
Yeah,
Well, they don't even realise you were
it's
on
memorable.
stage. And so anyway, I'm sitting there. I ring up Limo. I'm like, mate, this gig was fucking terrible. He's like, oh, well, we had a proper MC. They had Hamish McLaughlin, the TV commentator, emceeing, and oh yeah. And then anyway. The auction goes on for an hour, but
Because you can't just
You
leave.
can't leave.
I'm on the jet with Campbell Brown, and then
Yeah.
and then the Shooter sacks the auctioneer halfway through because he's shit, and he makes Campbell Brown to the auction. And then he gets up, and then they interview Campbell Brown. Then they interview this horse trainer, and then they're waiting for Paddy from Geelong. He hasn't turned up yet, and he's a big star because he's a premiership won the Geelong Premiership. He's the captain. And I'm also a Geelong supporter, so I'm like so embarrassed that he's going to turn up and go.
Well, he doesn't know. He
doesn't know, but he'll hear. He'll hear.
Oh, yeah.
And so we're waiting for Paddy, and everyone's getting
Shooter
restless.
will let him know.
And so this is the thing. I said to Shooter.
Let Paddy know.
I said to Shooter, do you want me to go back on? I'll go back on if you want. He goes, will you? I said, yeah, I'll just go on. Do some more stand-up. He goes, yeah, and I went on and I fucking smashed it that time.
Yeah, because they've got your attention. They're looking for the...
No, they had a few more drinks, but also I had changed, my whole psyche had changed, because often inside your head, you know what I mean? And
That's good that you had enough balls to go back out, because I would have fucking hid back there.
Because imagine if it went badly again. You go, I willingly got up back here
Yeah.
again.
Yeah, and some fucking, there's a lot of bogans up that area. This guy comes up with all the tats and he's like, you were like fucking Jesus up there. You resurrected yourself.
Oh,
I saw the first one, but also you've lost the people who were paying attention. They don't have any confidence in you. So they're like, then you're coming back out and you're like, man, that's a ballsy move.
Yeah,
I respect that.
I did that for my mental health, basically.
Yeah.
So I sat in that bar for an hour and a half.
And you don't even drink.
I don't even drink. I had one drink that day. I tell you, I needed it. But yeah, I thought, nah, fuck this guy. I'm going back on.
I don't want to be on the train.
On the shit list.
Yeah, because Shooter's going to list your name in everything.
Oh, yeah.
He's a comment there next year like, this guy sucked. The first one, but the second one was good.
And country people are no good at compliments. Like, they're no good at it. They think they're giving you a compliment sometimes, but it never is. Like, I was in Dalby once in Queensland, and this old fella said to me, I've never seen a good-looking redhead. And I went, oh, and I thought he was going to be like,
I have
until now, but he didn't. He walked away.
That's terrible.
I'll let you figure out that, Ricky. Cute. Goodbye.
Terrible.
But he thought he was giving me a compliment. Or like my mum, she's from country. She'll see someone like at a tram stop and go, I saw you yesterday. This outfit's much nicer. It's like, Mum, that's not a compliment.
Oh my God.
That actually fucking rules.
It's not a compliment.
You actually look together today.
Yeah, thanks. But I've got a sacking story. This is this is why I got into comedy. So after teaching, I never taught. Then I got a job at the Red Cross as a public field officer was called, like a public education job. So it's sort of like being a teacher, but talking to groups of people, like, Red Cross volunteers and I used to drive around a station wagon. Kind of like being a sales rep, but for a charity organisation. Okay. It was a great job. And my twin brother, he got a job there too. He still works for them. He lives in Switzerland, and he works for the International Red Cross. Anyway, so that was a good job. But I decided to enrol in a public relations degree at uni. And I wanted to work in public relations. For people that don't know, it's saying good things about things that aren't that good.
Yes.
Yeah, so every organisation has a public relations
So this is like
person.
the MC at every gig. This guy, I love him.
Yeah.
I've worked with him heaps. He's
hasn't showed me his dick twice backstage.
Yeah. Or when you see like Cadbury have released a new chocolate bar and it gets an article in the paper, well, that's the public relations exercise, got it. Like weapons manufacturers have public relations people. And so I thought that, because I read in Cleo magazine that it involved, I didn't even know what it was, but I saw the degree and I read in Cleo magazine that involved going to parties, talking to people and getting on planes. I thought, fuck, I'm pretty good at all three of those. I reckon I could be a PR man.
I'm really good. Shooter.
Because I had my time in the class, Shooter. I had my time in the classroom. I didn't like that. I'd worked in, manual jobs. I was no good at that physical kind of stuff. And so I rolled this degree, and then I got a job. I left the Red Cross and I got a job in network PR. Now, this was the 80s, and this was a PR consultancy firm who, like an ad agency, they had different clients, and we would go out and meet with the clients and give them public relations strategies. And I was like 22, 23, going out every night, turning up. I remember sitting in a meeting one day. It was actually at the Red Cross, and I was like just falling. And the big boss goes, we did some presentation, and then the big boss goes, I've got one question. What did Dave O'Neill do last night? That was his question. Anyway,
oh, no.
Were you drinking back then, or were you just out late?
No, I never drank a lot. I've got three brothers, and me and my twin were basically teetotalers, but the other two indulged a lot. Trevor and Mark were on the booze.
But either way, you were out having a good time.
Oh, yeah. We went out every night of the week. We lived in shared housing. We went out every night of the week. Absolutely. And so anyway, I moved to Network PR, and this is how I got sacked. One of the clients was the Victorian taxi industry. And so back in the day, all the taxis were different companies, like Silver Cabs, Western Cabs, and they'd all meet in a room above a cafe in North Melbourne. And to try and present a united front, and we were their public relations people that have been employed to promote taxis. And
there's no other option back then. Why do you need to promote them?
Oh, yeah, well, that's a good point. But they all, and you turn up and they all fucking hated each other and they'd be arguing and like, you fucking took that fare the other night, you fucking prick. Get fucked, you fucking like, and then we'd walk in and the guy would go, all right, boys, we gotta have public relations people here. Okay, we gotta talk about how to improve our image with the public, yeah? And so this guy, so my boss, John, gets up and does a presentation, and it would have been, there were no computers, there were barely computers in the late 80s, so it would have been a overhead projector, and he's like, this is what we're going to do for the taxi industry, and so
guys, no more smooching people when they're passed out.
Oh my God, take them to their house, not yours.
That's more Uber anyway. That Uber was not around, of course, and so anyway, the head taxi guy goes, "That's all good, John. I'm interested what the young fellow, your assistant David, has he got any ideas to promote our industry?" And I go, "Oh, here we go." I go, "Oh yeah. Have you guys tried deodorant?" And there's like sort of one guy laughed, and there was sort of, and then I doubled down. I said, "Yeah, you should bring out taxi deodorant and like have a brand and all this." And John's like, "David, shut up." And so the next day, he just gets me in the office, and he goes, "Yeah, look, you're really funny. He actually said you should do stand-up comedy. I don't think this job is right for you," and fired me.
Did you know when you went in that day that you were getting fired? Or did you think that you were going to go?
Yes, because the company was going downhill. They were losing clients, and it would have been the start of an economic downturn. And
also you insulted one of their biggest clients.
I insulted one of their clients, and also I was definitely last one in, first one out.
Okay.
I'd been there for less than a year.
But also you weren't wrong. You know what I mean? Like, there was a period in time, it's gone now, but you're like, Jesus Christ.
It stinks.
You
Like
just
kebabs.
You'd have to crack the window.
Oh, no, I still get cabs. I don't get Uber. I still get cabs. And they're still bad. I won in Adelaide. I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like, open the window, mate.
I got an Uber last night. It smelled so bad because he's a smoker. So
Yeah.
I was like,
and he's smoking in the car.
well, he wasn't smoking in the car, but I was like, I have not caught an Uber where the driver's been a smoker.
Awful.
It was really gross. It was a really unpleasant
One or two busy
experience.
on the fucking phone to be...
Yeah, he was on the phone too.
Oh,
that
yeah,
doesn't
they're always
bother
on
me.
their phone.
That doesn't
Who
bother
are they
me.
talking to?
I don't
Their
know.
family and friends back home.
I think that's what's going on. Yeah. That's what's going on.
I think that's the
Because it's
difference.
usually
Do you know the
nighttime.
difference between Uber and Uber X is? Because Uber X is a cheaper one. The Uber Comfort, they ask you before they go on the phone. Like Uber X are just on the phone, and the one that you pay a premium for, they're like, "Do you mind if I go on the phone?"
Yeah,
okay.
As if you're going to say, yes, I do
No.
mind.
But
Well,
also
talk to me.
Often the guy who delivers my packages is on the phone as he's delivering packages too. So he's
Are
just
you?
no, the guy delivering the packages, he's often on the phone, like
Yeah.
talking
Well,
to.
Oh yeah.
Imagine working by yourself all day. You go mad. And you don't talk to because you talk to people in the car.
I'm rather
Where
them
you
talk to their
from?
mates than me, because I fucking
Yes.
there's nothing worse when you get into like a fucking and you like a middle-aged man. You're going, fuck, I'm going to be in a fucking conversation here, and I don't want to be
Yeah,
in.
that's why I hire a car. I tend to, when I go to Gold Coast, I just hire a car.
Just drive around so you have to talk to anyone.
Oh, it's great. And then you can go for a swim, do whatever you want.
I just did 4 nights in Sydney, and I walked to most gigs.
That's a good
as much
idea.
as did heaps of walk. As a woman, you can't walk at night. I spent over $300 in Ubers
Yeah.
just for 4 nights.
Because hard. You're going to have to fucking park it, you know?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
true. Hiring a car in Sydney, nightmare.
And actually, and look
Nightmare.
at there's nowhere to park yet. My show was at the Enmore Theatre.
No, nowhere to park around
and
there.
nowhere to park. So
Yeah.
on the Friday night, I had people coming in half an hour into the show. I was like, what? Why bother? They're like, oh, we couldn't find a park.
Yeah.
Why would you fucking drive
Yeah.
in, you know?
Oh, it cost $300 to get an Uber.
Sydney.
Yeah, well, that's fair.
Sydney,
Yeah.
mate, Sydney.
Sydney. You know.
Now, have you ever quit in a spectacular fashion?
No, I got sacked mainly. That one was the most spectacular one that I had, really.
Yeah.
Quitting jobs, no. I just had all, shit after school jobs. I had a real asshole boss, actually, in a supermarket when I was like 17.
Always in supermarkets. We just had Josh Earl on, and he had a
Josh Earl pissed himself at the register.
Oh, no.
Because she wouldn't let him go to the toilet, so he spilt like something that was
Dropped,
yellow, dropped like a
like
container
creaming soda.
of creaming soda, and it went everywhere, and he just pissed himself to hide it.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yes,
and then the boss had to clean it up and stand in his piss puddle, so he feels like he won.
He was like pouring the creaming soda all down his crotch.
Whoa. I always dreamt of those leaving the job, but I never did it. Did it. But this guy, so what happened, one of my mates, Chris O'Toole's brother, worked in the local Dickens supermarket, which was a predecessor to IGA, and this is a mid-80s. No, early 80s. And so it's just like a small supermarket. But the boss is great. He's this old guy who just falls asleep in the office. And we just play cricket downstairs in the back rooms.
That's great. I
love that.
That's great.
But then he died. Or something happened.
Cricket injury.
Yeah, the old boy. And then this
He's
guy.
asleep. He's been dead for 3 years.
Yeah.
Jeffrey.
The pays haven't been done. And so Mr. Paola was sent in as like the troubleshooter boss because obviously the figures were down on this supermarket and at Brentford Square it was, and the figures were down, and so he was like this bald, it would have been his 30s, maybe mid-30s, and he was just like yelling and screaming. I remember one day, and he would just tell you constantly what to do. I was like his bitch. He's like, do this, do that, do this, do that. And then I said one day, okay, what do you want me to do next? And he goes, I don't know, David. Why don't you just take a little break? Maybe put your feet up. I went, really? He goes, no, of course not really. I'm like, fuck. And while he was saying this, I still remember I was imagining what I was going to do. I was going to go to the record shop. I'll go to the bike shop, have a look at that. And then he fucking screams at me. And the worst thing on Saturday mornings, he would bring his kids in who were like 10 and 12. I was like 15 or 16. And they would compete against me to like stacking the bread. And he was an asshole, Mr.
And you don't want to get
Paola.
smoked by a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
Oh no, I did. These kids were gung ho. Like,
Well, they're born into it. It's in their blood. Stacking bread's in their blood. You can't compete with that.
I was a slow worker. I've seen it in my own son who now works at a supermarket. And they used to call me Lightning and Flash because I was so slow. And I walked in the supermarket the other day and see my son there who's 20 and he goes, Dad, I just got told off for sweeping the floor with one hand. You know, like the one-handed broom. Mate, it's a two-handed job, mate.
At least look like you're fucking trying.
Exactly.
Actually, anyone who sweeps badly, like I remember, like, because my dad was always like, you had to rake up the lawn clippings with the catcher, always hard on you.
Yes.
And then a mate came over and I saw him once using a rake and I was like, now I know why my dad was angry. Like, give it here, you fucking loser.
Yeah, exactly.
Fucking use a rake, put your back into it.
Sweep the floor.
So was that the worst boss you've ever had, that guy?
Mr. Paola.
Mr. Paola. So if you could go back in time and say something to him, what would you say?
I'd say, listen, mate.
Ooh, yeah.
Stop bringing your fucking kids in. You're working in a supermarket. One day I'm going to be a comedian. I'm going to hang shit on you.
On a podcast in an empty
You
bar.
loser. Who's winning? I'm here on a Monday afternoon.
For free.
Not getting paid. Paola.
So Dave O'Neill, thank you so much for coming onto the podcast.
Thanks, guys.
We were really thrilled to have you.
Guys, thank you very much for joining us. Make sure you subscribe to Patreon. Dave, you got anything exciting coming up?
Oh, no, I've got a podcast somehow related with Glenn Robbins. Have a listen to that. And the Junkies with Kitty Flanagan, that's in recess at the moment because she's filming, but
What
it'll
about
be
the
back.
debrief?
And the
Oh, yeah,
debrief? I love the debrief.
Yeah,
I love the debrief.
Yeah, that's absolutely. Did one with Lawrence Mooney, which is his story is extraordinary. So have a listen to that.
Okay.
Yeah,
Oh, I'd
Moon
be
Man.
The Moon Man.
Moon Man, been in an ambulance 3 times in the last year.
Oh, it doesn't surprise me.
Yeah,
Oh,
doesn't
man, I went
surprise
to a solo show, the head thing. I was like,
Head
oh,
trauma.
my God.
Yeah, I didn't even
debrief.
know any of that, but yeah, have a listen.
All right, until next time, guys. Thank you. I've been fired from a lot of places. I've been fired from so many places.
I went into the class one day, real bullets. Kill me.